Alright, Emilio, I've got to tell you. Sometimes I feel like I speak 10 different versions of Spanish depending on who I'm talking to. It's wild out there, isn't it?
Oh, Wesley, you're not alone. It's like a linguistic jungle, truly. You think you've got it down after taking a few classes, and then you step foot in, say, Mexico, and suddenly everyone's away and things are Cheeto. It's a whole new ball game.
Exactly. I remember my first trip to Spain. I thought I was pretty good with my Spanish. And then someone asked me if I wanted to coger el autobús, and I just froze. I knew coger meant something else in Latin America, and my brain just short-circuited.
That's the classic one, isn't it? Coger is perfectly innocent in Spain, meaning to take, but in most of Latin America, well, let's just say it's not something you'd want to say in polite company unless you're trying to be scandalous. It's a prime example of why context and region are everything.
Right? It taught me a valuable lesson. It's not just about grammar, it's about cultural sensitivity and understanding the local flavor. So, let's dive into some of these differences. Where do you even begin with such a vast topic?
I think a great starting point is always Spain itself, the birthplace of the language. When you're in Spain, you immediately notice the use of vosotros for the plural you. That's a dead giveaway you're listening to a Spaniard. And then there's the sound, that seo or distinción for K and Z before E or I, like in gracias or cerveza.
Oh, the sound. I still struggle with that sometimes. I try to imitate it, but then I feel like I'm overdoing it. And vale, of course. Everywhere you go in Spain, it's vale, vale, vale.
Exactly. Vale for okay or all right is quintessential Spanish, and then you have guay for cool, tío or tía for guy or gal, like saying man or dude. You'd never hear someone in Mexico say que güey tío with a straight face.
No, definitely not. In Mexico, it's que chido way, which, let me tell you, took me a while to get used to. Way just sounds so informal, almost like an insult if you don't know the context.
It absolutely can be perceived that way if you're not familiar, but it's so ingrained in Mexican informal speech. It's the equivalent of dude or mate, and chido is their go-to for cool. Also, órale, which can mean so many things. Hurry up, all right, wow, let's go. It's incredibly versatile.
I love how some words are just linguistic chameleons, like neta in Mexico. For a long time, I thought it just meant the truth, but it's more like really, or seriously, or the honest truth. It's got so much more emphasis.
Oh, neta is fantastic. And then there's que onda, right? Which is like, what's up? It's a very common, very friendly greeting. So you see how quickly we've moved from Spain to Mexico, and the vocabulary has completely shifted.
Massively. And then, you go even further south. Colombia, for example. I've heard they have some really distinct expressions there. What comes to mind when you think of Colombian Spanish?
Colombia. Ah, what a beautiful accent and some really warm expressions. The first one that always jumps out is parce or parcero. It's like friend or buddy, similar to way, but with its own unique flavor. You hear it everywhere, especially among younger people.
So like, que hubo, parce, or something like that?
Exactly. Que hubo, parce is a very common greeting, and they also use bacano for cool or chévere. Chévere is pretty widespread in other Latin American countries too, but it's very much a staple in Colombia, and tinto, of course. Not just any coffee, but a small, black coffee. It's a cultural institution.
That's so interesting how specific some of these terms become. It's not just slang, it's interwoven with daily life and culture. What about Argentina? I've heard they have some very unique things going on with their Spanish.
Argentina is a whole other beast, Wesley. Their vos form is perhaps the most striking difference. Instead of tú hablas, they say vos hablas. It's called voseo, and it's used in several countries in Central and South America, but Argentina is probably its most prominent home. It takes a bit of getting used to, even for native Spanish speakers from other regions.
So it's not just a different word, it's a different verb conjugation too. That's intense.
Absolutely. It completely changes the conjugation for the informal you, and then of course the iconic che. You hear it in every other sentence like a verbal comma. It's a filler, an interjection, a way to get someone's attention, or just to emphasize a point. And then boludo, which can be offensive or incredibly endearing depending on who says it and how.
Boludo being endearing, that's a tightrope walk right there.
It really is. Among close friends, it's like mate or dude. But use it with the wrong person or in the wrong context, and you might get a very different reaction. It perfectly encapsulates the nuances of slang. They also say laburar for to work instead of trabajar, and pibe for kid or guy. And their sh sound for ls hube is distinct, like lluvia sounds like shuvia.
Wow. It's fascinating how a language can splinter and evolve so uniquely in different places. It really highlights how culture and history shape communication. What about some of the false friends, or words that mean completely different things across regions?
Oh, the false friends are where the real fun and potential embarrassment happens. We already touched on coger, but another big one is carro, coche, and guagua. In Spain, a coche is a car. In Mexico and Central America, it's often carro. But in the Caribbean, particularly Cuba and Puerto Rico, a guagua is a bus, and in Chile, a guagua is a baby. Imagine the confusion there.
That's hilarious. I'm waiting for the baby to take me to work. Just completely different scenarios. Any others that stand out?
Definitely. How about fresa? In most of the Spanish-speaking world, it means strawberry, delicious, innocent. But in Mexico, if you call someone fresa, it means they're snobby, stuck up, or preppy. So, eres muy fresa is not a compliment there.
That's amazing. You'd think you're complimenting them on being sweet. This is why you need a guide, Emilio. It's not just about learning words, it's about learning the entire cultural context.
Precisely, and sometimes, even within the same country, you have regional variations. Like in Spain, the difference between Castilian Spanish and, say, Andalusian Spanish or even Catalan influences. It's a mosaic. Or in Mexico, the slang in Mexico City can be different from Guadalajara.
It makes me think about how much richer the experience of traveling, or even just conversing with people becomes when you pick up on these local nuances. It shows respect too, I think, when you try to adapt your language a bit.
Absolutely. It's a sign that you're engaged, that you're paying attention to their world, and it opens up so many more doors for genuine connection. I mean, imagine trying to negotiate a price in a market in Peru, and you call someone pata, which means friend there, versus calling them tío from Spain. It's just not going to land the same.
True. And we haven't even touched on Chile, for example, with their weón, which is another one of those super versatile high-frequency words that can be either offensive or a term of endearment, much like boludo or caché for do you understand.
Oh, Chile is a fantastic example. Their Spanish is notoriously fast and full of its own unique lexicon. Bacán for cool, too. It's like every country decided to have its own secret handshake with the language. And you know, a lot of these words come from indigenous languages or historical contexts that are unique to each region.
That's a great point. It's not just random. There's often a rich history behind why a certain word became popular in a specific region. It's like finding linguistic fossils.
Exactly. It's living history. And what's interesting is how some words do cross borders. Like chévere, as we mentioned, it's used in Colombia, Venezuela, Peru, and parts of Central America. It shows a shared cultural thread sometimes, even with all the differences.
It's like a common denominator in the great equation of Spanish diversity. So, for someone just starting out, or someone who's learned Spanish in one particular region, what's your best advice for navigating this incredible linguistic landscape?
My advice would be immerse yourself, listen actively, and don't be afraid to ask. Most people are delighted when you show an interest in their local way of speaking. Ask, what does chévere mean here? Or, is it okay to say coche? They'll appreciate the effort and probably share even more fascinating insights. And always err on the side of formality until you're sure.
That's solid advice, and it makes the learning process so much more fun and engaging, doesn't it? It's less about memorizing and more about experiencing.
Absolutely. It transforms language learning from a chore into an adventure. Every new piece of slang is like finding a little treasure. It connects you directly to the heartbeat of a culture.
I couldn't agree more. This has been a fantastic journey through the Spanish-speaking world, Emilio. From the tíos and guay of Spain to the che and boludos of Argentina, and everything in between, it's clear that Spanish is a language as diverse and vibrant as the people who speak it.
It truly is, Wesley, and I hope our listeners are now a little more prepared and a lot more curious to explore these linguistic differences themselves. It makes the world a much smaller and funnier place.
Indeed. Thanks for tuning in to Lost in Translation. navigating the wild world of Spanish slang. We'll catch you next time on Learn Spanish Like I Did.
Hasta la próxima.